All right. So another instance of this Q&A type deal, and it's actually kind of fun just sitting here with a tripod, a cell phone, a monitor, and a laptop. Um, so yeah, but this particular question or comment really, so thank you for the comment. It was in response to the Zenfone, one of the Zenfone videos where I complained about the fact that it has USB 2.0. So this comment is, to get 3.1 speed, you need to buy a USB-C 3.1 cable, but 10 gigabit transfer, they can be quite expensive, and use the side port, usually a blue color, or you will get USB 2.0 speeds. The bundled cable is USB-C 2.0 and the main port is 2.0. But first I would try to download is USB-C drivers for Asus and phone. So yeah, the user is saying that I need to, of course, first have the correct cable, which is true. And then you might need to download the appropriate drivers on the computer, which also sometimes is true. Well, having the correct drivers, obviously, but sometimes you don't need to download anything new. The user mentions that the included cable that comes with the phone is actually a USB 2.0 cable, which is also true. And I did some tests and found that out to be with essentially all the cables that come with all the phones are 2.0 cables, which I thought that was pretty interesting. And then the last thing that they were saying is you need to make sure you buy the correct cable. So believe me, I spent some time on, at the time, I probably got these off of Amazon, I think. But yeah, back when I was first kind of getting involved with USB 3 speeds and wanting some USB-C cables, believe me, I went and made sure that I bought the correct cables. So one thing here that I'll have to not disagree with, but definitely, I guess, insert what I think would be the correct statement is that the user is talking about 10 gigabit transfer speeds. So yes, those cables are different. And in fact, I actually purchased one a few days ago with the hopes of seeing what type of speed was actually on the bottom of this phone and then seeing what the ports on my ThinkPad were. Because if they're Thunderbolt ports, which I know Thunderbolt isn't USB 3 point something, but I want to see like what exactly does that mean. So I know if I had a Thunderbolt cable and a like let's say a Thunderbolt external SSD or SSD storage device, then yeah, I could get those extremely fast speeds. But if I'm just using a regular USB cable, USB 3 point something cable, what are the fastest speeds that it's capable of producing then? But 10 gigabits, yeah, those are different. So I'm not looking for 10 gigabit. I'm only looking for 5 gigabit. And as the user mentioned, they, for the most part, are color coded. I think they've kind of gone away with that because as USB 2.0 has gone away, or is not as common as you would hope it is, then there's really no reason to differentiate the colors. So on my ThinkPad, I know these ports are 3 point something ports, and none of them are blue. The reason I know that they're that is one, yeah, the specs online say it, but two, in terms of using the correct cable, so we got USB-C on this end, and then we got the blue coloring that the user was mentioning on that end. So this cable that I probably bought from Amazon at some point is definitely a 3 point, whatever you want to call it, cable. I would say 5 gigabits per second cable, and because I know it's not one of the 10 gigabit ones. So when using this cable, and I know cable lengths can affect data transfer speed. So this is this a foot? Yeah, I think this is about a foot. Yeah, so this is the shortest cable that I have. And it came in a variety pack. So I had, I think, a 3 foot cable and maybe even a 6 foot cable. So I didn't want to use any of those. So the cable length is not a problem. And then, yes, when I use this cable on the ports on the ThinkPad, and I was transferring that 26 gigabyte file for the Galaxy, under 2 minutes to transfer it. With my Sony, under 2 minutes to transfer it. But yeah, when I use the Zenfone, it takes, I think I said it was 13 or 14 minutes. So I know the cable is fine. I know the port is fine. So therefore, yeah, the phone unfortunately is USB 2.0, which as I've made other videos, I've gone on to say that that's not really that big of a problem. It sucks that I'm using other devices now to transfer various things. And I guess I'll kind of lump this in with another comment that a user made. I always laugh when I just, anyway, Not only is this an incredibly niche scenario, what on earth would be the reason to use a 26 gigabyte file on a sub 6 inch display? Utter madness. So honestly, it's an interesting take on things, because yes, we all use these phones for different things. And I know I made another video talking about it, but the 26 gigabyte file, yes, is unique to me. That is, and in fact, it is something that I use, because I'm sure there are other people who do it. But yeah, that was a video file that was that large. And yes, I do consume video on my devices. So that was interesting. So I got a warning that Chrome was causing the phone to overheat. So anyway, these things are freaking supercomputers. So anyway, so yeah, when it comes to that 26 gigabyte file, yes, I do consume minimally compressed, high definition videos on my phone. I prefer that way. Streaming services are fine, they're convenient, but sometimes it's better to just watch other videos on your phone. Now, I wanted to do one big file instead of a bunch of little files, because for me, that definitely gives a good representation of, okay, what type of data transfer speeds can we get from this? And it's nice to just have one steady stream, as opposed to, if you're copying a bunch of files on Windows Explorer, the little file transfer dialog thing, you'll see the progress bar going, steady, but how fast the actual speeds are of whatever's being transferred is constantly going up and down. So I wanted something steady. But regardless of that, I will say this, and I'll try. Okay, now the camera's causing the phone to overheat. All right, so I'm going to stop this. All right, so the phone overheats. I'll probably need to get an actual camera at some point in time and stop relying on this thing. But I ended up just taking the case off the phone, putting it in the freezer for a little while, and I think we're good to go. But I need to be not so long-winded when talking about these things. But the last thing that I want to mention with regards to that last comment, which again, I appreciate open dialogue and I appreciate understanding how other people use their devices, is that, yeah, even though I was using the phone to transfer, or the port on the phone to transfer a 26 gigabyte file, and there was a video file, so forth and so forth, sometimes I use these phones as flash drives. I literally carry information from one computer to another, because at the end of the day, these little tiny pocket-sized supercomputers are computers. And even though, I don't have it right here, but, a flash drive is, roughly this size, data transfers for some of those things get pretty slow as well. I don't know if it's a caching thing or whatever, but being able to transfer big files on something that I might already be carrying around with me anyway is a huge plus. And of course, having a port on the bottom that transfers those files relatively quickly is also a huge plus. So yeah, all in all, in summary, I have the right ports. I have the right cable. Yes, watching minimally compressed high definition videos on a smartphone is something that a lot of people don't do, but I do. And I know it's something that a lot of these phones should be capable of, because many of them are. So when I get a phone that isn't capable of it, I'm like, that's a little weird. But even if you're not doing that, we still transfer data from computer to computer. And sometimes you can't email something. Sometimes you don't have an optical drive to burn a disk. Sometimes you have an optical drive and no blank disk. Sometimes you don't have a flash drive just hanging around. But if you have a smartphone, then yeah, hopefully you'll be able to transfer data from machine to machine if that's something that you end up actually doing. So yeah, thanks for the comments. We all use these phones very, very differently. And yeah, it is all good. So thank you.